I started this gangster shit. And this the mother thanks I get. Hello. I started this gangster shit. And this the mother thanks I get.
Hey, if you like this content but haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Subscribe right now. Thanks. It's Comic Artist Pro Secrets. Good morning. I'm Ethan Van Sciver, 26-year veteran of this comic book industry. It's an industry. It's not a club or a community. World's most charming, elegant, eloquent, and yet humble man. Great big Star Wars fan. Trusted member of the media. And this morning from Cosmic Book News, trusted news outlet, not garbage tier at all. They offer this theory. Disney Fox sabotages Dark Phoenix for Captain Marvel and Brie Larson. What the holy hell? Matt McGloin, you're going to have to make sense of this for me. See, Disney and Fox just finished their merger in March. Dark Phoenix was cobbled together. It had to go in for reshoots. It was a big mess, but they finished it off, and it was the last X-Men movie of the Fox era. Now, the X-Men franchise has been huge. It's been amazing. It's made almost $6 billion. So it's substantial. It's been going on for a long time. I mean, it's not the Avengers, it's not the MCU, but it's still pretty. It's a blockbuster machine. However, Dark Phoenix is the first X-Men movie, to catastrophically underperform. At this point, they're estimating that Dark Phoenix may have lost $200 million. I want to make one thing clear, okay? If this was intentional, if Disney did this as a favor to Brie Larson, I don't know what is going on. There is a lot of untreated mental illness in Hollywood. That's all I can say. I have not even lost $20 to Brie Larson yet because I have not gone to see Captain Marvel. And I will see it. I promised you guys. I just got to get myself psyched up to sit down and watch Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. Can I do it? I'll do it soon because I want to do a review of it and I want to talk about it and decide for myself if it was good. If the movie was good, even though Brie Larson is a heinous human being. Nevertheless, $200 million, that's worse than 3 Solos. You could make the entire third Ehrenreich trilogy. You could do it all. And that's what they lost. I mean, they could have put Alden to work. Darn it. All right, so let's read this article from Matt McGloin here. It's out with the old and in with the new as the reason for the failure of Simon Kinberg's Dark Phoenix movie may be the Disney Fox deal, the Captain Marvel movie, and the promotion of Brie Larson as the face, oh my God, of the new MCU. All right, well, who is going to be the buttocks of the MCU? Because Brie Larson does not offer that. Please don't make Brie Larson the face of the MCU. I beg of you. Please don't make that pan into something iconic. Most of us can't take it. We just can't. With Dark Phoenix being a complete disaster at the box office, the blame game is now being played out in the Hollywood trade sites, with Deadline offering a spin on things in an article that placed most of the blame on Fox Studios and, of course, none on Disney, who acquired the company in a $71 billion deal. So Disney just, tossed out $71 billion for everything the Fox has except for the news site. They don't own Fox News, a couple of other things. But along with that comes, of course, the X-Men. And, the X-Men is just coming limping into Disney at this point. Disney is going to have to do a spit shine job on this franchise if they want it to be profitable for them. Deadline offers numerous reasons why reasons are in quotes why Dark Phoenix failed, but includes in their report that a tidbit that is worth mentioning in the movie was originally supposed to be 2 parts. It said the Fox execs changed gears during late pre-production and demanded that it only be 1 movie. I think that was probably a good idea, to be honest with you. Why lose $400 million when you can only lose $200? So the Dark Phoenix extended cut exists if you want to watch that. If you're looking for longer, more sustained agony. In addition, reports are surfacing that a much better cut of X-Men Dark Phoenix exists that would have been better fleshed out story and even included more action and improved dialogue and a worthwhile villain. More on that below. According to fans that have viewed the cut, it would have been added up to 22 minutes or more of footage. Fans that have viewed the 2 different cuts of Dark Phoenix movie offer lines that were changed in the theatrical version of the film that took away from the much better extended version. The theatrical release of Dark Phoenix has a runtime of less than 2 hours, while the preceding 2 X-Men films are near 2.5 hours in length. Comparisons to the Kinberg, I mean, they just want to get people in and out of the movie theater. That's what it sounds like to me. I don't think extending torture makes torture more pleasant. I don't know where this idea comes from. All right, so the Kinberg cut, it's being compared to Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman and Justice League, cut down to 2 hours, which saw Warner Brothers executives interfere with Snyder's vision and fans' campaign for the release of the Snyder cut. Now, why would Fox cut Dark Phoenix and even go so far as to change lines in the film? This is where the theorizing begins. Okay, is it possible? Is it at all possible that this had to do with the idea that Brie Larson needed to be the biggest female superhero from the Marvel Comics, line, and that Phoenix coming on board with the Fox Disney merger would undermine Captain Marvel? Now, let me explain something to you. Phoenix, Jean Grey, is a much more legacied, a much more beloved character than Captain Marvel could ever dream of being. If Captain Marvel ever thought, at one point, if she ever dreamed of being more popular than Jean Grey, she'd wake up and apologize. This is absolutely true, and the only thing that's stopping the X-Men from being a much more substantial franchise than Avengers or Captain Marvel or any of these spin-off ideas, these spin-off movies, is just talent. I mean, they don't have good creative talent, and they don't have a Kevin Feige, and certainly they just don't have the overwhelming, overarching vision. So would it be a threat to them that Phoenix would come in, stumble in, and become more popular than Captain Marvel? That's an interesting idea. Did the similarities between the Dark Phoenix story starring Sophie Turner, God, she's awful. She does not look like Jean Grey at all. She looks like a baffled, I don't know, she looks confused all the time. And the Brie Larson Captain Marvel movie caused Disney to interfere. Dark Phoenix was originally going to be the first Marvel movie starring a female superhero, but that went to Brie Larson and Captain Marvel when the Dark Phoenix release date was changed yet again and moved away from Captain Marvel. Look at that. Dark Phoenix was supposed to come out November 8, 2018, and then February 2019, a month before Captain Marvel. Did Fox decide to release Dark Phoenix as one movie because the Disney Fox deal was going through? Were lines changed in that movie, in addition to the ending redone so that it further separated Dark Phoenix from Captain Marvel, that made it worse? Yes, I think so. Was the movie made to be unwatchable, trifle, filth, piffle, in order to elevate Catpan Marvel and the horrendous Brie Larson? Yeah, it sounds that way. No blame for Simon Kinberg about the reshoots. Interestingly enough, Deadline's piece offers no blame toward writer-director-producer Simon Kinberg. However, the same can't be said of online reviews and fan commentary. Kinberg is getting hammered for the failure of Dark Phoenix, which only brought in a measly $33 million. Oh boy, I have to say, Hollywood is... You're playing with the kind of money that, $33 million, you're losing $200 million. Like, if this were the mafia, you'd have to go into hiding forever. I mean, that's what's so funny about Hollywood. Deadline spins things, stating, "We understand Kinberg got to make the film he wanted to make and was flexible about reshoots with the studio. The film he wanted to make, their own report states Dark Phoenix was originally intended to be 2 parts. Certainly Kinberg, who was a fan of the more than 55-year history of the comics and remembers the failure of The Last Stand, which he also wrote, wanted to correct things with the 2-parter Dark Phoenix movie. But we see he never got the chance, which is because of the Disney Fox deal, and now Dark Phoenix is considered worse than The Last Stand by some. Oh, the irony. This is great. Absolutely great. You know what it is? I mean, X-Men is just considered to be kind of, a flimsy franchise, I think, by Disney. I mean, the idea of saying, I want to make a 2-part epic X-Men movie. When X-Men movies work out, when they succeed really, really well, like Logan, it's like what happened? People are kind of like surprised by that. These are just meant to be popcorn munchers that are kind of forgotten. They're spitting out these X-Men movies so quickly that it's alarming when one actually succeeds. But when one fails on this scale. Regarding reshoots, Kinberg most recently said they don't have plans for reshoots while discussing New Mutants. He said New Mutants is going to be, I can't even tell you, that's going to be an incredibly terrible movie. I can't wait for New Mutants. He said, for all of these movies, Marvel's really brilliant at scheduling pickups into their budget and schedule, so it's all prepared, and we have never been that smart. So Dark Phoenix have reshoots and saw its runtime cut because of the longer, by all accounts, much better version. Wasn't favorably received by test audiences, and they planned for that? Or was it, again, because Disney wanted Dark Phoenix changed so it didn't resemble Captain Marvel? Oh my gosh. It's like the comic book industry in so many ways. Jim Starlin went through the same situation with his Thanos miniseries over at Marvel. If you can remember, Jim Starlin, the creator of Thanos, was working on a Thanos comic book series for Marvel Comics when somebody else, and people who did not create Thanos, were also simultaneously working on a Thanos comic, and it was judged to be similar somehow. Somehow, same editor, somehow both of them ended up with the same story. So the Marvel editor actually had to tell Jim Starlin to change his. Can you imagine? Kind of sounds like what's going on here just a little bit. Alright, so it is known that the ending of Dark Phoenix was changed, said to be similar to the end of Captain Marvel, from an epic United Nations scene to a CGI train wreck. Maybe Kinberg is trying to tell us something. Captain Marvel and Brie Larson can't lose. Look at, oh god. Regarding Captain Marvel and Brie Larson, while promoting the release of Captain Marvel amid fan backlash, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige told fans, "She's one of the most popular characters in our comics. She's one of the most powerful characters in the comics, and will be the most powerful character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe." That's interesting, because honestly, I think Phoenix could take Captain Marvel out. You know, unbridled power and energy. I'm pretty sure Dark Phoenix could take out Captain Marvel. So it's interesting that this is being said here. He's undermining his new acquisition. Fascinating. Feige also added, "And one of the highlights at my career at Marvel was introducing her to Comic-Con and having her come out on stage and stand there with literally almost everything else from our universe. And there she was at the forefront. And it was a great foreshadow." This is ridiculous. A great foreshadowing of not just for how audiences are going to embrace Brie as this character, but also for how he's just being funny, but also for how Captain Marvel is about to take the lead and be at the forefront of the entire cinematic universe. Well, what would have happened if audiences favored and liked Sophie Turner and Jean Grey and the Dark Phoenix movie more than Brie Larson and Captain Marvel? Well, I don't know if they would have liked Sophie Turner better. This is a pitiful bit of miscasting here. But I do think that properly offered, Jean Grey and Dark Phoenix would have been infinitely more popular than Captain Marvel, and we can judge this simply by the success of the comic books. You know, Dark Phoenix Saga has been in print and has been worshipped as the most important X-Men story for many decades. Captain Marvel can't even keep her own comic book in print. She has been launched, canceled, launched, canceled 11 times in the past 5 years. Okay, so do the math. I think. All right. So how was Marvel Studios and Disney going to promote Captain Marvel as the first Marvel superhero movie, if Marvel female superhero movie, if Dark Phoenix gets released November 18th or February 19th? Feige says it himself that Brie Larson and Captain Marvel are taking the lead and will be the forefront of the Marvel Universe. That can happen if X-Men's Dark Phoenix, Jean Grey, and Sophie Turner come out on top. Certainly, if fans, even the general audience, saw the original, better version of Dark Phoenix prior to Captain Marvel, that they would have second-guessed what Feige and Marvel Studios were doing, even going so far as accusing Captain Marvel of ripping off Dark Phoenix. Again, Feige, Marvel, and Disney couldn't let that happen. Billions of dollars were at stake. This is a pretty good conspiracy theory, but the fact that it cost them so very much money to promote Captain Marvel, that's even more diabolical. Marvel Comics will not give up on this character. This character represents, I don't know, kind of just this cold, hard version of female empowerment, of feminism. And Dark Phoenix, I don't think does. Dark Phoenix kind of represents a much more actual feminine, Earth Mother kind of universal femininity and the power of love and love spurned and all of this. I mean, it's a much more feminine and much more, I think, Disney, classically Disney story archetype than the awful Brie Larson version of Captain Marvel. I mean, would they spend $200 million? Would they waste that much money to fight this culture war? Evidently, it all adds up. So adding things up, Simon Kinberg's initial plan to make a two-part Dark Phoenix movie, but during pre-production, he was forced to only make it one movie. For some reason, Kinberg decided to cut the runtime, cut scenes, and change dialogue for the worse. The release date was changed not once but twice. This is sabotage. Before the release of Disney's Captain Marvel to a June 2019 release after Captain Marvel, which Deadline offers was also a big mistake. The movie was never intended to be a summer film. Dark Phoenix is darker, more psychologically complex than other X-Men movies. It was always seen as an off-season release, and the original plan was to get out ahead of Captain Marvel and be the first female-led movie. How about that? Female-led Marvel movie. Deadline spins the release date changes and problems as the fault of Fox Studios PR, stating execs didn't know when the flick was getting released, etc., but a report from Vanity Fair from March does place the blame on Disney on the Disney-Fox deal, in that the marketing surrounding the film had new faces in the room. A handful of high-end consultants have been hired temporarily to fill the job recently vacated by long-term employees. Back in January, when the Disney fan shill sites were stating the movie was bad, sources close to Fox told me that a lot of hard work was done on the movie, and those involved were proud of what they accomplished. The question remains: is the theatrical version what they accomplished? Disney interference. Yeah, prior to the Disney-Fox deal going through, did Disney have anything to do with Fox Studios? According to a Fox leaker, Disney execs were spotted on the set of movies. It's claimed that Disney execs were keeping an eye on things during the transition. Wow! And were actively involved. They wanted to make a clean slate of things. While some scoff at the idea of Disney being involved or outright interfering with Fox prior to the merger, we are talking billions and billions of dollars here. So Disney having some sort of involvement doesn't seem that far-fetched. It seems probable. Look at this. Look at these points here. Matt McCloin, this is a very good theory, a very, very well done article here. Cosmic Book News. Simon Kinberg and Fox Studios decided on an epic two-part Dark Phoenix movie. Word of the Disney-Fox deal came down from on high, so Kinberg was forced to only make it one film. As it was only one film, a lot had to be changed, such as the villains. Meanwhile, Feige, Disney, and Marvel Studios had been developing the Captain Marvel movie starring Brie Larson, which is to become the face of their new MCU following Avengers Endgame and the original Avengers actors leaving. Kinberg's Dark Phoenix and Feige's Captain Marvel are very similar. Kinberg's Dark Phoenix has a November 2018 release date prior to Captain Marvel. Audiences will first see Sophie Turner as a cosmically empowered character that involves aliens. Captain Marvel will follow, but audiences will be left scratching their heads as they just saw the same movie a few months before. The Disney-Fox deal continues to get approval and goes through. Disney and Feige don't want Dark Phoenix to interfere with their massive plans for Brie Larson and Captain Marvel. Disney tells Fox and Kinberg to change things for Dark Phoenix, including plot details and the release date. Look for Kinberg to possibly be involved with the Disney Marvel Studios in the future. Oh, look at that. Maybe they bribed him a little bit. Dark Phoenix undergoes cuts, rewrites, edits, and reshoots, including the similar ending to Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel gets released to $1 billion gross, and the Disney-Fox deal officially goes through 2 weeks later. Dark Phoenix gets released and fails completely. Fox Studios marketing is blamed in part for the Dark Phoenix failure, though for at least 2 months it falls under Disney and is known prior to the deal having gone through that employees left and were replaced. Absolutely incredible. This is a great theory. At this point, I kind of buy into it. Disney undermined Dark Phoenix. Disney undermined Dark Phoenix for Brie Larson. I'm stunned by that. I'm stunned. What is it with Captain Marvel that Marvel is so very protective of her? What is it with Brie Larson that she needs to be the one? She's awful. Captain Marvel's an awful character. Nobody likes Captain Marvel, and Brie Larson is a terrible human being. Why is this happening? A user on superhero hype forums who has seen the extended cut also thinks there was Disney interference and goes so far as to state The reason for changes on Dark Phoenix is because down the road, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige wants to adapt his own version of the Dark Phoenix storyline when the MCU incorporates the X-Men. So this is a rumor now. Regarding the Dark Phoenix extended cut and two-parter, the user on superhero hype forums, this is just a user, this is just a theory, and this is, of course, take it with a grain of salt, goes into great detail about the differences between the two versions. And we'll skip all this in case you haven't seen. Wow, that's a lot of differences. And on the two-part Dark Phoenix version from the second, all right, I want to skip all this. This isn't. That's interesting. That's interesting, but it doesn't really underscore the main point here, which is that Captain Marvel and Brie Larson can't lose and can't be made to lose, and therefore Disney actually interfered with Fox's Dark Phoenix movie, undermined it, and sent it to fail. They sent it to fail catastrophically, and the cost of that was $200 million. They paid $200 million to make Brie Larson a star. I don't even know what way is up anymore. That is crazy and also hilarious. Good for you. Thanks everybody for listening. What do you think of this? What do you think of this video? What do you think of this theory? Do you think there's some truth to it? Let me know in the comments. Also, please do subscribe. Double check and make sure you're still subscribed. YouTube is monkeying around with the algorithm. People are letting me know that they find themselves unsubscribed or that their bell has been unrung. They're not getting notifications. With everything that's going on with the ad apocalypse, double check and just make sure everything's copacetic. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. We are going to watch. We're going to watch the fallout of Dark Phoenix. I think this is a great story, and all of the implications of Disney and Fox and all the inner workings should be fun to work out. Thanks everyone. I'll talk to you again soon. Hey, I got a P.O. box. Want to send me some mail? Send it to Ethan Van Sciver, P.O. Box 607, Marlton, New Jersey 08053. And I'll probably open it up on the live stream. Thanks very much, everyone. Hey, you want to follow me on Twitter? Are you sure? Well, if so, I'm at Ethan Van Sciver. That's at Ethan Van Sciver. See you there. Hello, potential Indiegogo backers. Hello, friends. My name is Ethan Van Sciver. I'm a comic book creator who worked for 20 years for Marvel and DC Comics on books like Green Lantern, Flash, Superman, Batman, and X-Men. But before that, I had a comic book called Cyberfrog. Now, Cyberfrog lasted from 1993 to 1998, and then it stopped when I went to go work for DC Comics. Now I want to tell the story of where Cyberfrog has been for the last 20 years. I want to write, pencil, ink a book called Cyberfrog Blood Honey that tells the story of gigantic alien hornets that come to Earth and conquer it, sending Cyberfrog into deep hibernation, where he emerges now in the year 2018 into a completely alternate reality, a new world where these hornets have taken over, devastated humanity, using human skin to make gigantic wasp hives, and harvesting human blood to make honey to feed their young. Very few humans still exist. But it's up to Cyberfrog to save what's left of humanity and turn back the damage that's been done by these wasps with his brother Salamandroid and his friend Heather Swain. I want you to help me do this. We're going to get colors by Kyle Ritter. He's a fantastic colorist, and he's going to make this book sing. I'd like this to be a 48-page one-shot prestige format, part 1 of 4. So I'm asking you to help me launch the very first Cyberfrog Blood Honey epic graphic novel. Are you in? Will you help me? I hope so. Let's get this frog jumping again. If you enjoyed this video and want to become part of this community, subscribe to this channel by clicking the Laughing Man face logo right on your screen. Ring the bell for notifications as well. You'll never miss a live chat. And stay tuned, another video by Comic Artist Pro Secrets is coming right up.